problem is people don't make decisions logically, they make them emotionally, right? And so going all the way back, what I really focused on when I was creating content on Life 180 on this channel for the past, 6 years, it's always been about trying to connect with people on a level that would help them solve their problems, period. Not focusing on infinite banking, because by the way, I truly believe infinite banking isn't the end all be all solution for everybody for everything. I just don't. I don't think everybody's a good fit for it. I think it's a philosophy that for the right person, there's nothing that will touch it, but the policy is only as good as the person who's in control of it. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and for this video, we're gonna be talking about infinite banking, why people have such a hard time selling it, why people have such a hard time understanding it, and ultimately, why I truly believe that people need to stop selling infinite banking and start focusing on selling solutions. Now, I think that's a little bit weird for people that watch this channel that know how much I believe in infinite banking, know how much I am just like passionate about the problems that it solves for people in their lives, and whether they're real estate investors, whether they're a W-2 employee that is just looking to build a better foundation for their financial framework at home, whether they're an entrepreneur that needs better capital reserve accounts, or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, the reason, and people ask me, Chris, how do you do this so well with people? How do you just get on the phone with anybody and talk to them and answer questions and ultimately get people to see the value of infinite banking? And the answer to that is because of the fact that I don't focus on selling infinite banking. Like, I don't know if you've watched this channel for a long time, but now I'm going to be really transparent. I have an agency. We've got a bunch of agents. I'm working to actively grow our organization. And so if you're interested, reach out. But here's the bottom line. I've been running this channel since 2016. Literally running this channel since 2016. So it's been over 6 years now. In that time, I've been licensed, or not licensed, I should say. I was only licensed for the first 4 months of the channel. Now, there were some things that happened I'm not gonna get into in this video. I chose to let my license go. Don't get me wrong, I've actually really been thinking about getting it back, but I don't think I'm going to. I've got some great business partners that kind of handle that world for me. But here's the bottom line. From the end of 2016 until the end of 2021, had this channel, and I've been dedicated to this channel, and I've been dedicated to the content on this channel because of the fact that I believe in what I do. I believe in the message that I preach. I believe in the problems that infinite banking and a properly designed whole life insurance policy can solve for people in their lives. Now, I will also say that a policy on its own and no financial tool is going to solve your problems. And so what I think is important and what I think really sets me apart is I got to spend 5 years talking about this in a way that was authentic and genuine, that I really had nothing to gain from anybody. I couldn't sell you anything if I wanted to. And quite frankly, when I first started, you probably wouldn't have wanted to buy from me because I just wasn't as clean as I am right now with it. The message wasn't as dialed in. So here's the bottom line though. If we focus less on trying to sell infinite banking and more on selling solutions, more on connecting with people and solving people's problems, I think you're gonna wind up getting better results. And so here's my encouragement to you. I know you love this stuff. If you are out there selling it, or maybe you're just watching this and you're trying to figure out, is this the right fit for you? I'm speaking right now to an insurance agent that's actually looking to build their business, looking to sell more infinite banking policies, looking to serve more people by utilizing infinite banking. And here's the deal. Most of the people that I know that sell infinite banking, first and foremost, were exposed to it for themselves. They loved it. They fell in love with the concept. And then they said, oh my gosh, I need to share this with everybody. Here's the problem. You had this epiphany moment, this moment where you're like, oh my gosh, everything turned on. The lights turned on for you. It made sense. And so what happens is you, just like me, just like everybody else watching this video, we all make decisions emotionally. And you had an emotional epiphany. You had this emotional moment where you were like, wow, this is gonna do this and this and this and this for me. I don't know what that is for you, but I guarantee you had that moment. But here's the deal. Once we have that moment, then what do? We validate our emotional decisions with logic. I do the same thing with my Jeep, right? I remember the day I bought my Jeep. I went to the dealership. I wasn't planning on getting the Jeep. I walked in, the guy, said, hey, come check and test drive this Jeep I have over here. It was like the perfect color, everything I was looking for. And he's like, just take a ride. I'm like, listen, man, I don't want to take a drive because I'm not going to buy it. It's just not going to happen. I'm like, my wife would kill me. I'm not really in the market to spend, 50 grand on a Jeep kind of thing right now. It's not what I want to do. And he's like, just test it out. This is back in 2017. I was like, fine, as long as you know that I'm not going to buy this Jeep, I'll hop in the Jeep and I'll take it for a spin. Who am I to say no, right? He's like, no, man, here are the keys, go nuts. So I hop in the Jeep, fell in love with it. I get back and he's like, here's the deal. The new JL 2018s are coming out next week. And this was like literally when the new model was coming out for the Jeep. I said, that's awesome. He goes, well, these are my last like 40 on the lot of the 2017s. I'll give it to you for 35. And I'm like, you're going to give me 30% off this thing? So needless to say, I came home with the Jeep. And so and I got home and I made this hugely emotional decision, right? To buy this Jeep. And I buy this Jeep and I come home and my wife is like, what the heck is this? And I'm like, honey, and believe me, the whole way home, I had all this time to logically justify my decision, right? Anybody ever done that? Yes, of course you have. So I logically am justifying this decision the whole way home about, think about what it's going to do for our family and the experiences for the kids. And we just need this in like off-roading and just like, they hold their value. The residuals on these things are better than any other car. I looked it up on the Kelley Blue Book and it's amazing, right? Like all these things. And she just kind of rolled her eyes and said, okay, babe, if that's what you want, like it's awesome. And I will say to this day, it is the only major purchase I've ever made and never had a regret for it. So if you're in the Jeep market, don't question it, just go do it. That's another video probably. But moving on, that's no different than what we do with infinite banking, with whole life insurance, with any product in the world. You had this epiphany of the problems that it solved for you. Just like the Jeep solved problems for me. Like I had a boyhood dream of having one. I had like all these things, like it solved emotional things in my life, right? Infinite banking probably solves emotional things in your life. And you made an emotional decision. That's what clicked, because we all trigger here before we trigger here. That's what it's always the case. And if you think that's not the case for you, I'll challenge you big time on that one, right? So you do that, you make this decision emotionally and you had that trigger point. And then what did you do? Then you had to make it make sense to you logically. You had to verify, you had to validate. And listen, I get it, I'm no different. But here's the deal. What happens is, especially with infinite banking, you start going down that rabbit hole and you start doing all the research and you start going to all the books. Oh my gosh, like Pirates of Manhattan and oh my God, like I don't even know. Like I've got all these books back here. I don't know, like tons of them, right? Like the Becoming Your Own Banker, Pirates of Manhattan, the And Asset, my cash flow hacking book. You start reading all these books and you start going down that rabbit hole, Garrett Gunderson's books and all this stuff. And you start going, oh my gosh, like this stuff is so good. Like logically, you become more excited about the logic about it. And because, it's hard for you to convey to other people why you emotionally made that decision, you start to lean on the logic and now you start selling it to people based on logic. But the problem is people don't make decisions logically, they make them emotionally, right? And so going all the way back, what I really focused on when I was creating content on Life 180 on this channel for the past, 6 years, it's always been about trying to connect with people on a level that would help them solve their problems, period. Not focusing on infinite banking, because by the way, I truly believe infinite banking isn't the end-all be-all solution for everybody for everything. I just don't. I don't think everybody's a good fit for it. I think it's a philosophy that for the right person, there's nothing that will touch it. But the policy is only as good as the person who's in control of it, right? So I know plenty of people that are not ready for that responsibility, for that control. I know plenty of people who have too much debt and who are not ready to manage an infinite banking policy. They need to get a convertible term policy and they need to go out and handle their debt first. I know plenty of people that are just not ready there. While they may want to get there, they're just not there yet. And so what I think is important is infinite banking We need to stop trying to like jam that down everybody's throat like it's the end all, like it's the solution pill for every sickness that they have, for every problem that they have. We need to start thinking about solving people's problems, solving people's solutions, addressing people's fears, addressing people's concerns, helping people actualize their objectives and their dreams and their goals in their life, right? And if we do that, well, then we think about, like I was talking to somebody earlier, like what do you want your life to look like? You know, like if I came at you right now, you watching this video, and I said, hey, you should get an infinite banking policy. And imagine to yourself that you've never heard of infinite banking, and I start selling you all the logic on it. You're gonna say to yourself, okay, by the way, some people are gonna look at that and they're gonna go, yeah, okay. But I promise you, you're walking away from 9 out of 10 sales if that's the way that you're handling the process. There's a certain small segment of the population that their mind works like that they're gonna align with it, and you're gonna make that sell. Think IBM engineer, right? Like that's who's gonna get into it, right? Most people don't work that way. Instead of saying, hey, you gotta check this widget out that's gonna solve all your problems, and logically explaining to them why that solves their problems, they're gonna say, yo, Chris, chill, man. Like, I didn't give you permission to go there. Like, I don't know you that well. You don't know all my nuances of my life. Like, that's a lot of huge assumptions on your part to be coming at me with. Versus if I come to you and I said, hey, what's going on with your life? Like, I'm gonna just talk to you like you're a guy like me, because it's like whatever. Like, you're a husband, you're a father, or maybe you're a wife and a mother, and like, what do you want your life to look like 10 years from now? What do you want it to look like 20 years from now? Where are your kids right now in their journey of growing up? How do you view your responsibilities? What do you think's working for you? What do you think's not? See, my job is to not sell you anything, it's to connect with you. Because our job as life insurance agents is not to sell people life insurance. It's not. I know that sounds weird, but it's not our job to sell people life insurance. It's not our job to sell people infinite banking or investments or anything of that nature. It's our job to help simplify confusion for people around all this stuff that people don't understand, right? Which is the money game. I mean, sadly, people go all the way through college spending and public education, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on their education. They don't have a basic thread of financial literacy, right? Yeah, but everybody knows the periodical table of elements or whatever, right? Like I obviously don't know the periodic table of elements. I focus on other stuff, you know, but like, it is what it is, you know? So here's the deal. When you look at this, and when we think about how are we trying to serve people, you can't serve people by selling them something. You got to serve them by connecting with them, authentically caring, and you cannot fake this. You have to authentically care about where are people now, where do they want to go, on a scale of 1 to 10, how successful do they feel they're being? And you got to get to the place where you're comfortable and confident enough to have real conversations that you're not really after a sale, that you understand. If you know your job as an agent, I guess I'll put it this way, your job as an agent is to understand your product offerings so internally that you know all the problems that it solves, period. That's it. And then what you do is you go out and you have really good conversations with people, and you get to know them, and you get to serve them. And then as they make comments, you'll start to hear things like, you know what, I want an emergency fund, but man, I just can't seem to save money. I don't know what's going on. Click, I got a solution for you. Like, yeah, and you wouldn't say it like that, but in your mind you think, okay, now you're like all salespeople in the world, it doesn't matter what you're selling. You need to identify challenges, offer solutions, right? You need to be a solutions provider for the challenges that they're having in their life. But the problem is nobody wants to be told that they have challenges, especially by an outsider. So you just need to ask them questions to get them to acknowledge to you that they've got challenges, right? And if they can say, hey, I need an emergency fund. Man, I'm not saving enough for college. Man, you know, like I don't think I've got enough protection. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody how much insurance they should or shouldn't have. I don't know how much you love your family. You know, like it's not on me. Whether you buy insurance or not has no impact on my life, but your wife and your kids, it may, right? Like if And so, but the bottom line is it's different for everybody, right? Like, because I could talk to you and you may be a person who's like, listen, I have insurance through work and I really don't find that I need enough value. My wife makes enough money. And I really just don't believe that she needs it, that it's my responsibility to do that, to provide that insurance, to make sure my kids are taken care of when I'm gone and all these different things. Now, in my core, I would be saying to myself, wow, I'm gonna try to get him to see something from a different perspective for a minute, because maybe he just doesn't know what he doesn't know. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure our financial strategy is in alignment with our values and our beliefs. And your job, if you want to be successful, is to go find people that share your values, share your beliefs, that are on the same path as you, that are where you were before you knew what you know now. And if you can find those people and connect with them on an emotional level about what's going on, you're going to realize that if you stop selling infinite banking and just trying to solve solutions and offer solutions and help them identify and go through a path of self-discovery, you're going to sell a heck of a lot more infinite banking policies, because it's the right fit. And not only are you going to sell more, they're going to be the best fit policies. They're going to be the best solutions for them. Your persistency rate is going to be much higher, because the quality of the business that you're doing is going to be much higher, because the fit and the reason that they bought them, and because they made that decision emotionally and they understand emotionally the problems that policy, the role that policy is going to play in their lives as a tool that they can leverage, they're going to be much more likely to keep that year after year after year after year and utilize it as a tool, and then view you as a valuable resource to be able to help them accomplish their goals. And now not only have you sold a policy, but you've built trust, you've built a relationship, you've built a responsibility in helping them achieve their goals. And I guarantee you, they're going to come at you as a worthy resource, because you've added value into their lives. You didn't just sell them a product. You got them to understand how to accomplish their goals. And the bottom line is, no financial tool is going to get there alone. But if they become who they need to be and they utilize this tool, that's going to help them get where they want to be. And you played a huge role in that, right? And that's what I feel like people are missing. So my calling to you as an agent is, like, if you are not where you want to be right now, the reason where you are as an agent is because of who you are as an agent. It's no different than with any other area of life. We need to grow to being able to be to a place where we can serve people, where we can ask great questions, where we can really show up for our clients in a different way. It really is that simple. And so ultimately, that's what I wanted this video to be about. I hope it really rings true and hits home for everybody, because I truly believe, listen, I'm not going to give numbers, but we've done a lot of business just through the content and education on this channel, and through referral partners, and through people on the team that I've trained to utilize and execute this philosophy and this strategy. If you do this, I know it works. You have to be willing to be bad to be good. And that's what I know is, if it's worth doing poorly until you're good at it. And I promise you, if what you're doing right now, trying to sell, isn't working, what do you have to lose? But I will also say that there's nothing more worth it in the world than learning this in your life, than learning how to implement it in your own life first, and then how to share it with other people, because you're going to bless other people. You're going to just with a massive amounts of abundance, and that's going to come back to you. I don't want to get too woo-woo-y there, but it is what it is. And so my calling to you is that if you just really resonate with this and get out of the logic, get into the emotion, help people solve their problems, but know so deeply the problems that this product solves, this philosophy, this strategy solves. If you know that inside out, now you get to go have fun conversations. You get to go to networking events and do all these different things. You get to meet people on vacation where you're going to be having conversations with them, and boom, before you know it, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I just went on a vacation in the Dominican Republic, and I just had this person that I met, and I'm going to make $40,000 just from a commission of helping them, right? And genuinely, everybody wins at that point in time, right? And that's what life can look like if you do this the right way. And that's why I love this business. That's why I love this product. And that's why I love, being able to actually get compensated directly in correlation to the amount of value that I'm adding into the world. And my encouragement is, I really encourage you to to do the same thing. So if you have any questions, any comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you haven't already, feel free to reach out, chris@life180.com. If you want to learn anything, I'm an open book with everything. So as always, if you haven't, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, that way you're notified every time I launch a new video. And until next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.